Welcome to another edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. Today is the January 9th, 2026 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. My name is Phil Dixon. I'm coming to you live today with more baseball facts and as they relate to the Negro Baseball Leagues. And I'm going to just jump right in here. It's Friday evening here. And so I know everybody's got things to do. So hey, let's get busy and let's go to work. All right. So let's start with January the 9th, 1919. John Ford Smith is born in Phoenix, Arizona. And of course, I don't know if you've ever heard of John Ford Smith. He was a great pitcher with the Kansas City Monarchs, certainly, and played a number of years in the minor leagues. Matter of fact, in 1951, he finished with a 16-8 record and a 2.97 ERA. That's an earned run average for you people who are novice baseball fans. For Drummondville, the Drummondville Cubs of the Class C Provincial League. Okay, and so he's born in Arizona. And do you know? I'm just for trivia. Do you know anyone else that played in the Negro Leagues who was born in Arizona? There's one guy that I know that stands out, and he was a great pitcher also. So we got two guys that I know that come from Arizona. With both of them had deep roots in Arizona. The other guy is Bertram Hunter. Bertram Hunter played for the 1932 Kansas City Monarchs. He jumped over from the Homestead Grays, and they were simply an outstanding team. So, John Ford Smith. I do have some wonderful pictures of John Ford Smith, and I'm just using his home name, his entire name, just like I would John Henry Lloyd, right? So John Ford Smith, and I have some wonderful pictures of him playing in Puerto Rico. He was there with Willard Brown and Earl Tabron and Bob Thurman, and he really got around. He's a great player. I didn't get a chance to interview him, but I did talk to his wife. So that was John Ford. He passed away shortly before I started my research, but I certainly was hunting for him, and because I wanted to talk to him about his experiences in the Negro Baseball League, as well as his experience in the New York Giants organization. Never did get a good break though, but he definitely was in the New York Giants organization. One of the first black pitchers that they ever signed to a New York Giants contract. So he was born on this day, January the 9th, 1919, from Arizona. All right. Okay, let's go to another one. How about January the 9th, 1921? I talk about this gentleman a lot. His name is Wilbur Bullet Rogan. And Wilbur Bullet Rogan struck out 11 men to defeat Red Odom, who pitched for Joe Peroni's All-Stars, Major League All-Stars, by the way. And he won a 3-2 game over Odom. And this was in California Winter League action. And I have been talking a lot about California Winter League, and I will continue to talk about it because there were a lot of really interesting games and it was more interaction between National American League and Pacific Coast League players than has been previously mentioned. So definitely Wilbur Bullet Rogan beat Red Odom. And then George Carr led all players with 3 hits and 4 at-bats and scored a run. And then, of course, Walter Doby Moore tripled in that game. And how about this? Bob Fagan, and he had been in the military with Rogan on the military team, 24th, 25th Infantry teams. He doubled in the 9th inning and drove in 2 runs and won the game. And now, remember, they're playing against a guy by the name of Red Odom, Oldham. This guy was a American League pitcher, and in 1921, he had won 10 games for Detroit. Now, what's interesting is, now, you always think that the major leagues are the best league in the world, right? But you have guys like 3 people. I just mentioned 3 names: Bullet Rogan, I got George Carr, and then I mentioned Bob Fagan. Actually, I mentioned 4 names: Walter Doby Moore. All of these guys are hitting this pitcher, no doubt about it. But they're telling you that the major league, which was the National American League, were the top leagues, and they didn't even have all the top players. Guys, I keep showing you this over and over and over again, and maybe it's sometime you'll start to believe that truly the American National League was not full of the best players. There were a lot of players who would not have been there had they not been white. And that's just giving it to you in the hard, true facts. And there's a lot of ball players who were not there because they were black. But as you can see from these games, that they could play right along with the best of them. All right. So he won 10 games for Detroit. None of these guys ever had a chance to get in at bat or get a pitching win in either the American or National League. But look what they're doing out on the Winter Coast. Okay. So that was January the 9th, 1921. Wilbur Bullet Rogan is one of my favorite players. Of course, he comes from my hometown. And which is Kansas City, Kansas. And we have a great town. We had a great town. In addition to Wilbur Rogan coming there, Chappie Gray was there. Dick Whitworth was there, who pitched for the Chicago American Giants. They're all in Kansas City, Kansas. And if you really like jazz music, how about this? Charlie Parker was also born in Kansas City, Kansas. And the winningest boxer in Kansas history, a guy by the name of Tommy Ice Cube Campbell, was the winningest boxer in the state of Kansas for professional bouts. He was also from Kansas City, Kansas, Tommy Campbell. So anyway, I see people joining me. If you're joining me, let me know what city you're joining from. I'm talking about my hometown, Kansas City, Kansas, but I might be able to talk about your hometown, all right? Okay, so let's keep it going right here. We're going to stay out in California. We're going to jump to 1927, though. So January 9th, 1927. Pitch hitting for Frank Duncan. Now, Frank Duncan was playing for the Kansas City Monarchs. So Biz Mackey pinched hit for Frank Duncan in the ninth inning and hit a home run to tie the score. Okay? And then Turkey Stearns followed with a single later in that same inning, the ninth inning, and drove in the game's winning run for a 6-5 Philadelphia Royal Giants win over Shell Oil in California Winter League action. Okay? So now there's some good names on this team. Now, I don't know how closely you follow the Negro League, so I'm going to give you these names. Let me get a drink right quick. Okay, so also playing with the Philadelphia Royal Giants in that game was Dink Mothel, Carol Ray Mothel, nicknamed Dink, from Topeka, Kansas. Norman Turkey Stearns, he was there. He's in the Cooperstown Hall of Fame from the playing with Detroit, originally from Alabama. Herbert Rapp Dixon from Steelton, Pennsylvania. He's in that game. And how about this? Willie Wells from Austin, Texas. He's in that game. And each of those players rapped out 2 hits each in the victory. And how about this one? I just got through talking about him. Wilbur Bullet Rogan tossed a 10-hitter for the victory. Now, he faced another guy who was in the, let's see, he was in the American League, just like Red Odom. And his name was Herman Pillette, Pillette, Pilletti, could be like that, who won 19 games for Detroit, the Detroit Tigers of the American League in 1922. Once again, this is demonstrating that these guys are able to hit these pitchers who were named, they were the big stars because they had the newspapers, they had the National American League behind them. But when it came time to face these African-American players head on, you see that there was no advantage that they had by playing in the American National League. So anyway, yeah, thought I'd mention that to you as well. So no one's saying where they're from. Go ahead and say where you're from, guys. That's always fun. But I do see some people listening, and I appreciate you coming here. If you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and subscribe, because I'm coming with information like this every single day, all right? And we'll get some interesting things, okay? How about this one? A baseball player that's playing basketball, all right? So let's go from this one. January 9th, 1932. We have Pat Patterson. Now, remember, there's 2 Pat Pattersons. So this is the later Pat Patterson who played for Newark and Homestead Grays. So Pat Patterson and Packing House Adams. Packing House Adams is from the West Coast up in, I think he was, if I'm correct, he might have been in the Seattle area there where he was from. And these are baseball players who are playing basketball. And so anyway, Pat Patterson and Packing House Adams both dropped in 5 field goals each as the Wiley Wildcats. and that's Wiley University down in Marshall, Texas. Scored a 40-16 win over the Dallas YMCA Cagers at the Olympic Club in Dallas, Texas. So I always like to talk about some of these multi-sport athletes because when I was coming along, of course, we heard about Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. I'm trying to think of his name. He was he played with the Mariners, but he was a quarterback. His name, I think, was Bradley. Um, oh shucks, I forget his name right now. But I would hear about multi-sports athletes like that. But how about this? There are a number in the Negro baseball leagues that we need to discuss, and I want to make you aware of these. So if you're doing research or you're writing a paper, this is the information that you can use to bring out greater substance. So I'm kind of arming you with material. So you got to go back and listen to my broadcast because everyone is loaded with something, right? And Pat Patterson, how about this? I did get a chance to interview Pat Patterson, and just like I interviewed Mr. Martha and Willie Wells also. So I did get a chance to interview Pat Patterson. He later on became a high school teacher, and of course, he coached sports too. So he played baseball, he played basketball, and how about this? He also played football. So he was an all-around athlete. Pat Patterson, look him up. Don't take my word for any of this. Go look him up, and be careful when you look up AI because as I was doing some research today, I put in Ford Smith, and I asked AI, is there any other Negro leaguer born in Phoenix, Arizona? And AI said no. But then I said, what about Bertram Hunter? Because I knew Bertram Hunter was from Arizona, Phoenix. And then the AI said, you are correct. I missed that. AI is actually letting me know that, hey, I'm smarter than you, AI, sometimes. All right. So I'm going to correct AI all the time if I can. So anyway, but these are notes that you can make and you can know that these guys existed. So, and once again, if you are listening and you want to interact with me, let me know where you're from, okay? So I just have one more that I'm going to go over today, and this one occurred January 9th, 1952. And just to show you how salaries have changed in baseball, Jackie Robinson signed his 1952 contract for an estimated $40,000, and that was subject to approval by the Salary Stabilization Board. So it wasn't even guaranteed. He had to run it up the ladder to get it approved. So $40,000, guys. You got guys making that in one game now. Can you imagine that? What he made for the whole season, and what an impact Jackie Robinson had not only on baseball but on American sports overall. Jackie Robinson was a great baseball player, an outstanding football player, a wonderful basketball player, and he's a pretty good track man too. So just know when we celebrate Jackie Robinson's retiring of 42, just know that it is well warranted because this is what sports should be in America. I know right now they're trying to get kids to specialize in one sport, but if you can play on more than one sport, I think it's great. I think it's great to be able to do that, and it keeps kids, occupied. And how about this? It's entertaining to some of us who see these guys with just this pure athletic ability, and they're just putting it all in one sport. So I would love to see some basketball players, 6'5", 6'7", 6'8", playing baseball right now, but they're having to specialize. So I would love to see that if it was possible, and maybe that day will come again where it's not so much emphasis just to play one sport, right? And I know you have to get ready and physically in the demands of the sport to know the sport. You have to play so much. You want to see as much competition as you can in that one sport. But yeah, that's the way the game is being played right now. Players are being trained that way. But once upon a time, guys would go from one sport to the next sport depending on the season, and then they would do some interesting things in the summer. So anyway, that's Jackie Robinson. And sometimes you're probably wondering, where do I get all my information from? Let me show you something right quick. Something I've been doing for years. And here's one right here. This is a 1938 edition of the Franklin, Indiana High School yearbook. All right. If you open up this yearbook, Guess who's in the 11th grade in this yearbook? A guy by the name of George Crow. I talked about George Crow in my broadcast yesterday. He played for the New York Rams. He was the Indiana's state outstanding basketball player of the year. And guess what? I get things like this, and I have a number of angles that I use to get pictures and to just collect the history on these guys. So that's another way that you can begin to tell this story. And this particular book, 1938, of course, George Crow is in the 11th grade. I don't have his senior year book. I wish I had that one. But in the in this, I guess this would be his junior year, he led the basketball team in scoring. So it says it right there in the book. And it has a great picture of him in his basketball uniform as well. And of course, George goes on and he signs and he appears. I think the first major league team was the St. Louis Cardinals, if I'm correct, in 1961. But he also appeared with the Braves. Actually, you know what? I think that I'm wrong on that. I think he appeared before them because I know he's on several of the 1950 cards. So maybe it was 1951, maybe instead of 1961. So let's change that to 1951. George Scales, all right. And I'm going to check that as soon as I get off this broadcast. But I know it's not 61, but he was already in the league. And so if you have one of these annuals like this, maybe one of these times I'm going to put some of these up for sale. And I've had the benefit of enjoying these for many years. When people weren't thinking about the Negro Leagues, I would just basically steal these items because no one was thinking about getting these items as a whole. So I was way ahead of the game. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining. I hope these facts have been entertaining to you today. If you like what I'm doing, or if you're picking up the broadcast later on, go ahead and subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I have serious baseball people who follow me. That's one thing for sure. And also, for me, I'm about to start the speaking season, and I've got a book I'm working on right now, and I need to really kind of focus on it. So I might not be doing when we get maybe in the next week or two. I'll probably slow down, and I'll probably do, instead of a broadcast every day, I might do like this day in Black baseball history, and then do maybe 3 days and give you some items that what I think are the top items for those 3 days. So anybody, we got a few people here. Let me know where you're joining from. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to change because I have to finish these book projects. And if you want to know what kind of books I'm writing, just go ahead and look my name up. That's Phil, Phils Dixon, and put in Negro League, and all my work will pop up. And if you want to learn more about Black baseball from someone who actually has lived this, and I'm talking about, I don't have a job, guys. I have a passion. That's a big difference. I have a passion. And so this passion has kept me in this game for all these years. And believe me, I would not be able to do this if it was not for you. So I do not take your support for granted. So somebody sending some hearts, I appreciate that. And I don't take you for granted, because without you and without these players who gave me information and granted me interviews, I would not be here today, right? So I'm just kind of sporting my Monarchs uniform today, my KC hat, and recently picked up some new hats too. So you're gonna see me in different hats. One of these days, I'm gonna figure out how to turn my screen around so you can actually read what's on my jerseys. It says Kansas City, and that's supposed to be a KC, not a CK. So all right, so it's been my pleasure again, as always. I look forward to seeing you. We'll do another broadcast tomorrow, and we'll just keep this information coming. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening. This is Friday. Go out and find something great to do. And if nothing else, pick up the telephone and call someone and tell them you love them. All right. You have a nice evening. This is Phil Dixon with This Day in Black Baseball History. This is the January 9th, 2026 version of this history. Have a nice evening. Bye.